Hello, this is my social studies project. I'm focusing on the grade 5 social studies curriculum, but you could adapt this location to suit differing grades depending on what you wanted to accomplish. The reason why I chose grade 5 though is that Parksville Qualcomm is a tourist town, and this is a focus on the natural resources continuing to shape the economy.
This place used to be, well, it still is one of the number one tourist spots probably on Vancouver Island. It's also one of the most beautiful. It's very, very much developed even since I was a kid. We used to come here all the time. Used to be a lot more sand dollars. They're just not as common anymore because, well, probably people were taking the live ones thinking they're dead because live um, live sand dollars look black, and that most people think that black means dead, which isn't the case. I also gotta just turn this around. I don't know if I can. Just want to show you a big clam.
Rathrevor Beach is a beautiful provincial park located in Parksville, British Columbia, under the traditional lands of the Coast Salish Nation, with the Snuneymuxw Nation and Comox Nation surrounding it, both of which are generally accepted as Coast Salish. Traditionally, the place was an excellent location for a plant that is known as cuxbean, though it's more traditional Limotrium or bear stem biscuit root. Some Salish people even reference the location as a medicinal garden for how widespread it was. This area was a location of conflict between Coast Salish and the Kwakwaka'wakw people. There is some contention about specifics, but what is understood is that in retaliation of a Coast Salish attack, in which villages were destroyed and presumably slaves were taken, the Kwakwaka'wakw killed or enslaved every Salish villager between the traditional Kwakwaka'wakw territory and the area known as the News Bay. This conflict, including specifics, is recorded both in Salish oral history and by settlers. This had happened right before colonization of the area, meaning a lot of context of other activities and stories of the area are lost to history. Modern day, Rathrevor Beach was named after the Rath family who lived there. They had a camping ground there that eventually became a provincial park in the 1960s.
So over there you can see Lasqueti. That's an island that's in between Vancouver Island and the mainland. And behind that is actually Texada Island, which is again another island between here and Vancouver.
Besides being beautiful, this area has some excellent direct experiences regarding showing cause and consequence. Specifically, this area is a park and people are trying to conserve it. But over the years, there have been consequences of human action on the land. Rabbits here are an introduced species that have caused some pretty substantial damage to the local flora. This local flora has been cordoned off into small ecological preserves, but rabbits have invaded the preserves and burrowed there so substantially that these cordoned off areas have practically become bunny preserves. The park has an actual nature preserve where other conversations about old growth forest and the effects of humans in the local area can be discussed in terms of cause and consequence, including some rectifying of past mistakes involving seawalls versus natural beach protection. The area, of course, has curricular possibilities in science and in physical education and health, as well as social studies.
This is where I parked, and that's how close the beach is from where I parked.
There's a lot we can discuss in terms of getting into the details of the area. Conversations about the interlinking of animals in tide pools and the beaches, as well as plants. Conversations about the way the land and the ocean interact with each other. Conversations about humans interact with the land and the water. The area is a key location for the Brant Geese Festival in Oceanside, which takes place from March through May, showing the interaction of species from different areas of British Columbia and the West Coast. Talking about the way we can use the land and how the land has changed and what has stayed the same. Talking about how introduced species and the way humans shape the land to suit our needs and what that means for other natural indigenous animals and flora. At this location, there are nature trails to explore and a beach to examine. We can discuss cause and effect using the footprints in the beach as an extended metaphor for an ecological footprint. Other possible tasks include interactions about how the land is owned and how different people view and interact with the land. This has a traditional indigenous context, but it also has a modern context of the Rath family, a complex story involving the sale of the land to a timber company, and then the selling of the land to the province to create a provincial park. Going into the details, we can analyze concepts of fair use. Students could also do a nature scavenger hunt and discuss the interplay of biomes, and perhaps discuss some of the reasons why some animals cannot be found and why some flora can't be found.
As you get closer and closer to the water, it becomes more and more obvious that there's living things that are just underneath the sand.
The area is a prime location for a field trip, but there has to be some basic understanding of where kids can and cannot go in the park. The forest is old growth, and that means it can be quite dense. The waters rise quickly when the tides come in on the beach. The beach itself extends a full kilometer out before it hits the water. The sun bakes the area in the summer time, so students need to come ready for that. In general, the protocol and safety is dependent on the age of the students and the education you wish to get into with them. If you're doing a nature walk, for example, the protocol is going to be different from doing beach combing. Since this is grade 5, generally speaking, following school rules and doing safety talks before you enter the bus, and while you're on the bus and before you leave the bus is probably the best way to go forward. Having additional staff members or parents, if is allowable by your school district, to come with you is also really helpful. The area is rife with wasps in the summer, so in the late spring, like as in late May or June, if someone is allergic, such as myself, you need to come prepared for the possibility of a sting or a bite. Rathrevor Beach is one of the most beautiful places on Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island has many beautiful places. It's also one of the most tourist-heavy locations. This means it has a unique history, but it also provides some unique conversation about what this means for the island and for students as they grow older. Thank you again for coming with me for my beach walk.